my creative friends, I'm Sonia and this is my second video about Gobelin application. Believe me or not, it's over a year has passed since I got accepted and since I filmed my previous video about the application. You can see that my English became a little bit better, but this video is not about my speaking skills. It's about the first exam of Gobelin application and it's about portfolio. It will be the first time when I'm showing my entire Gobelin accepted portfolio, because when I got accepted, the administration told us that they didn't want us to share anything from our portfolios because they were afraid to receive 1,000 of equal portfolios the next year, and I totally understand them. But at the same time, when I applied, I felt really lost. And it was the first time of my application, and it was just the first time of all the changes happened, and I didn't know in which order should I put my works into my portfolio. How do I describe them? How to write descriptions. And I also didn't know if I should make collages or if I should post works separately, because there was literally zero information on the web. I'm not going to post my portfolio link, I'm just going to show it to you. This video, and especially the part about my portfolio, will be very long. I had about 400 pieces, so please grab some tea or coffee or what you would like to drink. Maybe you're a healthy person and you drink some water. Prior to showing you my portfolio, I would like to make several disclaimers. First of all, as you can see, I am not native speaker of English, but I'm really trying. I believe that my English became better this year because I was practicing it constantly, but I'm still not perfect, so if you see any mistakes, I do mistakes, or I make mistakes, who knows. And secondly, if you have any specific questions, or if you would like just to talk to me, my DMs of my Instagram are always open for you, and please write to this particular one, because the two others are less frequently used by me. Another important thing I should tell you is that in my year of application there was no motivational video you should post in your Tumblr portfolio, and the last year, when the guys of 2021 year of application applied, they had to film a special video, I guess, talking about their motivation of attending Gobelin. This video has to be posted on your Tumblr portfolio, but don't be afraid, this is not the only video you can post on your Tumblr portfolio, so if you have any animations, you can still post them, just, yeah. Even having me as your advisor. I don't know if it's like a very loud thing to say. If you are deciding to apply, you should check if the application rules have changed. Every year Gobelin changes some little things, so even if you watched my videos, please check, because I don't want to be the one who helped you to fail your exams. In my previous video I talked about the documents you need in order to apply, and I also talked about my story of application. What's even more important, I showed you how to navigate the Gobelin website, particularly looking for your modalities of application for ARFA, which is the name of our program right now. Please, if you haven't watched my previous video, check it. It's on my channel somewhere. And the last thing I would like to tell you, prior to showing my portfolio and talking about the portfolio requirements and portfolio criteria, my portfolio is just an example. It's not the way the portfolio needed to be done. Gobelin looks for creative people and they try to form a class. So they're trying to look for as many different talented guys as possible. So please do not be oriented on someone and do what your heart tells you to do. If you want to make more animation, go for it. If you would like to show yourself as concept artist or 3D artist even, go for it. Gobelin likes people who know 3D. Please try to be as different as possible and you will find your way into the hearts of Gobelin jury people. I know that you can find all the portfolio criteria online, but if you haven't checked their website already, I will just tell you some basics of portfolio creation for Gobelin. I'm not inventing them, they're all out for everybody. I still didn't edit my first video, so I do not remember if I talked about it or not. So in case you will hear this twice, please don't be mad at me. You know, repetition is the mother of education. First of all, your portfolio needs to be created specifically for Gobelin application. You put your applicant's number into the link, and you don't have to customize your portfolio, you just have your blank background and don't have your profile picture. This year they ask you to show your works which were created in less than a year of the application. So for example, if you decided to apply in November, you can upload works starting from November of the previous year. If you, like me, began your application in February, you have to start putting your works starting from the February from the last year. But when I applied, there were different things written in the modalities document. So it was written that I had to upload the works finished within the year of application. I was able to upload some of my old works from my school. I decided to rework or customize or finish. I studied for 4 years in an animation high school prior even attending to Gobelin. So I was very lucky that I had lots of projects I could rework and include into my portfolio. Right now I don't know if I should feel guilty or not. That's why I'm telling you to still check for the changes this year. When I applied, there was a rule that there should be 80% of traditional works and 20% of computer-made works, like in Photoshop or TV Paint. I don't know if you should count your animation, if we are talking about the application to the bachelor, and this video is about the application to the bachelor. Gobelin doesn't expect you to make any animation this year, because the first year will be completely without any animation assignments. You will be only making perspective stuff, character design, perspective, and what else? Also perspective. Wow, diversity. Such a great year actually. They are going to have about 1,000 of applicants this year, the next year, and the year after this year. So I don't think they will actually count your every post and oh, they have 21% of Photoshop works. No, they're not admissible. Of course not, they're having such a great amount of people. Okay, you got it, I guess. Tell me please you understand me. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write them down below in the comment section, and I will of course answer you. So I believe in you, and yeah, I'm always here to help. There are a couple of more rules. First of all, your drawings must be observational. Drawings from real life. Please do not draw from photography. The jury will immediately see it. Almost all my live drawings from this year I made from Zoom sessions. I don't think it's forbidden to do that, because I still don't know if we are going to have any open live drawing sessions, live live drawing sessions next year. I guess in case you are using videos or Zoom meetings, it's still okay. So right now I see that they ask you to stop posting the 8th of March. Then if you are found admissible, you can continue posting your stuff till the oral exam. And on oral exam, of course, it will be the last thing of your application year. They will decide if they would like or not to see you among Gobelin students. Finally, we are going to the criteria. I'm going to move a little bit to the right. I moved to the right, so to write you some stuff here. The first criteria is your level of drawings. They expect from you realism, a good choice of staging, volume, quality of composition, and choice of line and lighting. For this part, they give you 25 points. Next, they're expecting from you the diversity of styles in terms of media you're using and also type. And the last and the most important criteria is the quantity of work. I personally had about 400 pieces, of course, counting all the 1-minute sketches I did. Let's look at my portfolio, finally. The first one is some old traditional work I made in my high school. My animation high school, for some reason, gave me the diploma of painter teacher. So I am some kind of a traditional artist. Why did I put as many drawings of hands? Because hands are one of the most difficult parts of human body to draw. So I would like the jury to see that I'm used to drawing hands. Please remember that your portfolio should not consist of all your traditional pieces. Please choose just some of them to show the jury that you can work with realism. For example, you are coming from some academic art school, and if you're publishing all your pieces, Gobelin will think that you're just confused the schools, and they will probably not find you admissible. At the first place, they are looking for people who can think in animation way, so drawing fast and drawing lots of concepts, drawing lots of character design, so we are going to see it later. Also some old still life I made on Oblacat. I made it on a very cheap paper, but I still pretty much like it. You also can see how I wrote the descriptions to my works. So you have to write the month and precise day, if you remember it, about the media you used, a very short description of what is depicted and what was your intention. I recommend you write in French. First of all, it's practice of French, and secondly, it will show the jury that you are willing to learn the language if you haven't already. I studied French for only 5 months prior to the application. Even though I told you that you don't need French anymore to study at Gobelin Bachelor, you still need French to live in France, because there are lots of people who don't speak any English there. You have to know at least something to be able to communicate to people around you. Lots of teachers are still speaking only French. I even have some classmates I have never talked to, because we just don't have common language. I'm very bad in French, and they're either very bad in English or they do not speak English at all. So there can be a language barrier between you and your classmates. What is inside our body? The skeleton. In my school, we were made to draw just lots of schools, because we had to draw lots of portraits, and our teacher, she wanted us to know by heart how these schools are constructed. So we even drew some of them by heart. I also find including such stuff into your portfolio pretty useful, because it can show that you are digging deep into human anatomy. And I was afraid that I would be eliminated for having as much academic stuff. I was still accepted. It means that this amount is okay. Next one is a sketch of my history teacher. He also was talking about economics and stuff, and he had a very funny skeleton. So the next post is dedicated to the project I made with 2 of my friends from my school when we were sent to Germany to represent our school as some kind of best students. As Gobelin is a team working school, Gobelin tries to put you into the environment very close to the studio working environment, like the way you're actually going to work for the rest of your life. They want to see the teamwork. For this reason, I tried to participate in as many team projects as possible. I decided to put this one because I talked about it in my CV, and I decided to illustrate my point so that the jury could see it, even though it was made entirely in 2018. So I still find it okay if you write about something and you want to show it. We were making it within 4 days and 4 nights, and it still turned out fine. I even don't hate it. I just hate the person who did the clean, because it was me. The clean is horrible, and you actually can see this film and find all the links to the rest of the team on my YouTube channel. It's kind of the first video I posted on this channel, so yeah, you can check it out and laugh. The assignment was to give something to a character you've chosen and try to think how they would react to this present. So I have chosen the character of Stephen Fry, Jeeves, and I gave him as a present lipstick, so it turned out very funny. I recommend you including as many animation-related art pieces as possible, so like storyboards, concept art, character designs, again animation, to show your interest in the field, because priority of the bachelor in animation is just teaching you how to animate. You're not going to have any directing stuff, but you are going to have lots of animation perspective. That's what you should include into your portfolio in order to be admissible, maybe, and in order to be accepted, hopefully. The next work is again a very old painting piece in a pastel color palette. I don't like it because this poor girl looks like a pig. It's freaking funny. I still like the feet on this one. They turned out fine. I recommend you maybe being less strict to yourself when you're uploading your works in the beginning of your portfolio. So you can upload more works in general to the beginning, only the best ones to the end of your portfolio. The jury wants to see your progress. At the same time, they would like to see the quantity of your work. So you can show even not the best of your sketches in the beginning and only the best ones in the end to just strike. The next ones are a bunch of sketches I made in my school. There are lots of my classmates. Very funny sketch of my dad playing. Please do not throw away your sketches, especially if they are at the beginning of your portfolio. They will help you to gain the amount. It's just a little trick. I do not like the colors here, but it looks like a little bit abstract, so I decided to put it in here. The next ones are the sketches of my fellow student who was sitting next to me on art history lessons, so I drew her all the time. Next ones are like stylized sketches of guys from the bar. Your sketches can be either very realistic, they can be stylized, and I guess that you can combine both techniques and both human representation, so that the jury can see that you are not only able to depict the life, you can also stylize the life. So this one is a sketch of my brother I made with Copic markers. Actually, you just can read all the descriptions by yourself. Something strange is going with his back of the head. Did I tell you that it was going to be the roast of my portfolio? I still like the sketch because it's pretty stylish, but there are no hands, there are no feet, it's just a little portrait, which is fine. I think that the jury would like to see more of full body sketches or the sketches with hands, with the gesture. I don't think they care about the beauty of the piece. They mostly care about the technical aspect. This one is a good example of what you shouldn't do in large amounts. Next ones are the old sketches from my school. Please don't mind me looking down because I'm looking at my portfolio with you at the same time. The hands are bad, the posture is bad, there are no feet. The next one is an old still life from my school. My school specialized in some kind of impressionist painting, so yeah, here it is. Next one, again, the sketch of my classmates. You see, I tried to combine the works because I didn't want to have 400 posts. At this time it seemed very strange and scary for me, but now I think that it would be right to follow the instructions because there is archive button in Tumblr and you have several pictures in your post. The archive shows only the first one. It's not very easy for the jury to navigate your page, so I guess it's better to follow the instructions. I combined the sketches because I guess they were made in one technique and in 1 month, and they have the same theme, my schoolmates, so yeah, I posted them in one post. Okay, next one is a sketch of my classmate, but in different media. Some people created their demo reels from all the animations they have made, but I posted all my animations made in school separately. And you see, I have written that this piece was finished for the final exam because we had the final exam in the 4th year, and I corrected my every single paper-made animations. The next one is also a very old piece I made in an animation practice. It's still pretty funny. This assignment is also one of the first assignments Gobelin gives to their students on the 2nd course of Bachelor. You know, in my school we made lots of different animation cycles. I cannot even count how many walk cycles I have made during my 4 years of school. We look just at some animation schemes, redrew them with our own characters. Animation was made on paper, but I think that if you still draw your animation using TV Paint, it's still fine because it's still shows that you are interested in the program you are applying to. I don't think that you have to draw your animation on paper like I did. I did it only because I used to do it in my school. Can you believe your eyes? Is it a cycle? A cycle again, yeah. It's again a cycle, but a cycle constructed into a story, which is fine. I just couldn't understand my teacher. I couldn't understand what she was talking about. I guess that even she herself didn't know what she was talking about. The sketches of my relatives who have for some reason green skin and very short hands. The next one is again a traditional piece where I show my knowledge of volume, lighting, anatomy and stuff, and you can see that I'm a very chaotic person because I just cannot stand making everything beautiful. I like it to be drawn from your shoulder. When I was in my 4th year of my school, we had lots of pedagogy practice because, as I already told you, for some reason applying for becoming an animator, I got my diploma as a painter teacher, so we had to teach kids. I like this sketch a lot. 2 years has passed, but it's still the style I like. I like the foreshortening my fellow teacher from my class, because we were teaching kids together. It's the example of very bad composition, you see? Her feet and her head are almost touching the edge of the paper. Please don't draw like this. 50 points for quantity. Am I not going to post some bad works? I'm going to do that. I still think that the figure is painted pretty well, not taking into the consideration that the right leg is very freaking short. It's very short. The next one is a drawing of my dad with foreshortening. Next one is again the reworked and finished storyboard from my school. The main problems of all of my storyboards is that they are not storyboards at all. These storyboards are just little illustrations illustrating parts of the text. The storyboard is a very rough drawings. These drawings are sequential, these drawings are showing the movement. Illustrations for this storyboard made them is in style of, you can read in which style I made it. I like here the colors, and also in one of them I even tried to sew something, because I wanted to do it in the style. Again, this is not the proper way of doing concepts, because these are the illustrations. I tried various styles and it's a very good way of filling your portfolio. Again, the sketch of my dad I still like. It looks very hairy, as I guess that my marker was already pretty dead. Next one is my mom eating chicken, again without legs. But I like the expression on her face, so hands and legs are very important. If you don't have legs but you have hands, it means that you have minus, you have plus, and you got 0 in that. One of my most favorite charcoal drawings, maybe it's just the only one charcoal drawing I made in my entire life. So it's the drawing of my teacher, and I was so fast in my school that I not only drew this piece within the time given for drawing it, but I also painted one little painting. This one was the very first painting I like, because the colors are pretty vivid. The black is not the black. Still, I don't like the legs. The legs look pretty strange. Next one is some random person without legs again. Do we need legs? Yes, we do. Next one is a very poorly made 3D. In my school, we used 3D Max for our 3D assignments. Next one is again a still life, but it's painted in another technique. This time I used the square brush. So even though I included some my traditional pieces, I always try to include the different ones, because I didn't want the jury to become bored. Just skeletons from Russian Museum of Paleontology, which I think is the best museum of paleontology in the world, even better than the French one. Sorry, not sorry. I don't think you actually need the dinosaur skeletons in your portfolio, but as I had them, some of them have very poor composition, but it was because I used Copic markers and I couldn't really change anything. You do not really want your sketches appearing like this. You want them to look like long train of sausages. You don't want them to look like an actual post, because some of them are really small, and I did clearly a mistake here. The next ones are cats. A bad post. Your post should look like a sausage train. Remember, sausage. 1 sausage, 2 sausage, 3. Not like one big sausage and 2 little sausages, no. It's a bad thing. The next one is again an impressionistic still life. I painted using the masticine. It was just an experiment and I liked it. It's pretty colorful. A sketch of my brother. Of course, the anatomy died here, but the style. Some very old portraits for my school. I made my poor classmates look as ugly as I could. Sorry, classmates. Next one is finally a good portrait. It has pretty good head volume. Again, messy hair, because I'm a very messy and chaotic person. Once a teacher in my school told me that I was bad in aquarelle, so I was very frustrated. And I still do not really paint in aquarelle because I'm afraid and I have this inner insecurity. And having this teacher standing behind me and telling, I told you you were bad in aquarelle. The sketch of my dad, you see familiar faces. The sketch of my another classmates, you know, only beautiful girls study in Russian animation high schools. This one is one of my favorite works I made in my entire school year. It was just a very big piece of paper where I put all these like 60 or 70 frames. It's still not a good storyboard because it again looks like different illustrations following each other. But this story tells about the little boy who befriended a hen, and the hen turned out to be a little man, and this little man lived in an underground city. Such a cool story. It's called Алёша и чёрная курица, если что. This one was made in Aubrey Bursley style. I hope I pronounced his name correctly because it's one of the greatest artists on earth. I like this style. This one was pretty fun to draw. Not the best one, but it's plein air, and I guess when you are going on like painting or drawing outdoors, you can have some problems with perspective. Remember, it's still the beginning of the portfolio and I can put whatever I want. I attended an exhibition of Orthodox art with my dad. I love drawing people in communication with each other because it's like the most interesting thing to do. Even height difference adds to the story, so yeah. I still like how I did the hands, but the face is very sad. Classmates, and you can see little pluses here because my teacher just marked them so I could show them on my final exam. Here we go to one of my most favorite composition assignments I had in my school. This one is made after Russian folktale, and I had lots of fun with it because I used Russian 19th century caricature style, which was pretty fun. So you can see some of sketches I did prior to drawing the storyboard, and yeah, some concepts. I still love them so much. Sometimes you have very well done things, and then teachers expect you to do all the rest of your assignments like very well, and you cannot. Maybe it was just a blessing. You cannot have all the works made perfectly. This still remains one of my most favorite assignments I made in my school. So yeah, here's the storyboard again. My storyboards are bad because they are not storyboards, they are just some number of little illustrations. Next ones are my illustrations. Actually, it's just Russian winter cloth. This work took me like a century to draw because I used lots of cross-hatching here. Oh, here are the sketches of the animals, because animals are also important. Here is my friend with very freaking enormous arms, like giant arms. I guess it wasn't the point of the sketch. The point of the sketch was her face. This is the sketch of my brother. I used here some tones. Yeah, the hands look very ugly. Yeah. Also the ear is pretty strange. The head is strange. The shoulders are freaking strange. So here's my aunt cooking something. So I like this very dry way of drawing, and I like to mark all the shape stuff here and there. You know, Russia consists of churches and tanks. Here's like, that's all. Russia is churches. What else should I draw to show my ethnicity? Also a very important idea. In all my pieces, I tried to show my ethnicity. I tried to show that I'm Russian because I knew that the jury wanted to see lots of different people. If you show that you are also interested in your own cultural heritage, I guess it will be valued by the jury because they would like to have a normal international class, because my class still consists of 80% French people and a little bit of foreigners. I just tried to show that I'm Russian. I like how I drew the face here, and I like how I simplify the hair and the hand. This one is some random man from the train. This one is my favorite painting so far. The teachers had to check my originals because I didn't attend the oral exam in person as all the people did because it was pandemic. When I brought it to Gobelin, Monsieur Fred, who is the teacher of animation, he even put this painting on the table and made some steps forward to look at it from the distance. I went for the plein air when it was like heavy raining and the canvas became very wet and I couldn't even apply the oil at the canvas. So I used again the masticino, I don't know how to call it, and it looks rainy. Then more churches. There can't be too much churches. The main point of plein air paintings and drawings are that you show and prove to the jury and you prove to yourself that you like drawing and you draw everything and everywhere, and that nothing can stop you, neither the rain nor the burning sun. It shows you from the side of a very strong person who can handle all the weather conditions. When I constantly had the pressure of having to show my works to my school teachers and my school jury, I didn't have any desire to work on my own. Next ones are the sketches from Russian Viking festival I attended, so I drew a bunch of people there, and it's featuring different costumes and different faces, which I like. I was very happy that I was able to attend the festival and draw people. The color concepts I did in the practice when I studied in this Russian animation studio. These concepts were pretty bad, but I didn't really have much computer works, so I decided to put them. Also, I mentioned this practice in my CV, and that's why I decided to feature it there. You know, I'm a very slow person and I started working in Photoshop not so long ago. I like such kind of portraits when you show different people's features, you are showing different phrases, you are even maybe doing caricature. I didn't really want to describe every single portrait separately, because what can I write about a portrait? It's a portrait. My finished stuff from my school point was just drawing different castles, bad painting. But it has the sun, so I don't think it's that bad. The perspective doesn't exist in my drawings. A poor person with a very, very long arms and very, very short feet. I'm sorry, man, even though it doesn't look like my dad, but I still liked the foreshortening I was able to show in his arms. Then another plein air piece, this time drawn in a flat style technique. Then a bad painting again. This one is really bad because the composition is like awful. More sketches. I guess most of your portfolio will still consist of sketches, because sketches are pretty fast. Sketches can be done in different techniques and materials, and sketches are the essential part of the life of an animator. So yeah, I think from 400 pieces I had here, about 300 or maybe 250 were the sketches. When I put my works, sometimes I intentionally put some sketching post, then painting, sketching, painting, so the jury wouldn't be as bored. Right now I don't think the jury can be bored because their main goal is to find your strength, see you as the person. The painting again. Next ones are the children from the beach. Children, very bad composition. Please leave some space for the figure to breathe. There is no space. For this sketch I still like. It looks pretty stylish. At this time I was very inspired by one of my classmates. She drew amazingly stylish stuff. I as a person learn more from my classmates than even from my teachers. So that's the point. Sometimes I just see the cool thing another person does and I'm like, wow, I would like to also try to do that. If you are learning from some artist you like, you do not copy their pieces, of course. You are just looking at the ways they are drawing different pieces of their artwork and you are implementing this into your own personal style. So this is how the style appears. It's again watercolor, but this time I painted on a wet surface, so it did these cool fluffy things. One of my favorite pieces. It wasn't finished, but I like it as it is. It's some kind of a yarn. This was the time when I found some kind of style and I tried to use it all the way. It's the sketch of my dad. Going further to my portfolio, I tried to draw more facial expressions, more people interacting with each other, more different poses and stuff, because like drawing portraits and drawing flying heads is not a very interesting way of filling your portfolio. Illustrations I made for my diploma film. Like we had to draw a film as our diploma project, but I didn't really, because I just drew the illustrations so you can see them. So this was like some kind of a fairy tale. You should draw lots of poses and facial expressions for your characters. And even though Gobelin doesn't require doing your personal project anymore, I would still recommend to try doing one, because where else you can try to do the poses, the expressions, the concepts for your own projects is not in the Gobelin application. So just try. It's a good way to start doing storyboards also. Here's another piece when I do a bunch of different people for my unfinished diploma project. I still like this panorama, but I guess it was some kind of procrastination. This one is again a plein air piece. It's fine, except the fact that it again doesn't have any perspective. Then sketches from the beach. Sketches from the beach, sketches from the beach. The portrait of my brother I did in colored pencils. I didn't touch colored pencils in like 1,000 years. So it was kind of my first time when I used this limited palette of colors. Some plein air sketches. I don't like these ones color-wise, because I'm still more an impressionist person. I love the mood, I love the air. But here I really tried some kind of a new style. The style is pretty flat, and I find it interesting how I drew these trees. They are very green, but they are stylized. Wow, I can stylize plein air paintings. It's almost like colored drawing. So these sketches were again from the cafe, and they are pretty caricature looking. I can say straight ahead that I hate every single one of them, but I decided to upload them because they had different people, and as you could see, I mostly had my classmates and my family in my portfolio. It was a cool way of filling my portfolio with some new faces, because I still think that if you will have only your family members in your sketches, it will be boring, and it will give the jury the thought that maybe these people are the only ones you know how to draw. So it's always better to draw in cafes, at the beaches, in museums, everywhere you can find people. I know that this year was pretty tough with going to the museums, cafes. Hopefully we are reopening next year, so you will have the opportunity to see more people and draw more faces. So yeah, this post was made just to have some diversity. One of my favorite paintings ever, and it was made in a new manner for me. Every single stroke of the oil was a different color, so I like this one. This one is good. Oh, this one is one of my watercolor paintings I don't hate, even though I used very dark colors for the sea. And you know, as watercolor rules say, you don't have to use any very dark colors, because it will look very dry. You have to paint alla prima. You know, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to, because it's your portfolio and you're showing your personality to the jury, and you shouldn't listen to anyone, just listen to your heart, okay? Some portrait sketch of my dad eating. It was very fast. Sketches from beach, sketches from beach, sketches from beach, sketches from beach. Again, some sketches from Italy. It's a painting, and this painting has a very sad story, because I painted it and my father and I didn't know how we would handle all this stuff and how we would bring it home, so we decided to use some kind of spray. This spray must help the paintings to dry, but instead it did it wet. So when we put the plastic back on it to try to put it into luggage. It just completely screw off lots of my paint, so this one looks pretty messy. Next ones are also experimental, because every single plein air piece I'm doing is an experiment. I do not like to use the same styles and the same ways of painting and thinking every time. Sketches from cafes. Sketches from cafes. Drawing mothers with children. Sketches, sketches. This one is my second piece, drawn in colored pencils. It looks fine, but when I first drew it, the sky wasn't dark enough, so I tried to go through the color the second time to make it darker. And sketches from the cafes. Different Italian people. Oh, this one is good. I still like it. Sketches. A man with a very cool skull. Sketches. Sketches. Another sketch pack. Oh, this one is the sketch of my dad on the beach. And this is the only black person I drew in 2019, because, as I told you already, in Russia we just don't have much diversity, which I found very sad, because I like drawing different people of different nations and races, and I just don't have them around me. Sketch of my dad. Sketches of my brother. Sketches again. Sketches. Here I used another technique for drawing in colored pencils. As I had a very limited palette, I couldn't really do much, so I used a lot of blue. Here are my parents. Sketch again. Some very fun and fast sketches I did, like the caricatures of my family, and I later used them in my colored sketchbook as an inspiration for one of the pages. Sketches, 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 sketches. Oh my god. Oh, the sketches. I did have very few animals. Sketches from the zoo, again, because I didn't have much of them. I didn't have much animals, so I decided to still put them, even though I didn't like how they turned out. In these sketches I used brush pen. Again, some academical portraits of my friend. My poor friend has a very broken face. I'm so sorry. This one's meant to show my ability to draw different faces from different angles. Again, to prove that I know how to use volume and light and tone. This work was also from my school, and you know, it's written in September, because I actually started reworking this idea in September and finishing all my illustrations. I didn't finish while I was in my school. And this one is about Cipollino. I guess you know this guy. And at first, when I was at my school, I wanted to use like very Egon Schiele style, but then I decided to get rid of this idea. So this is a combination of some of my old sketches of the character and some new ones, some different people concepts. So these ones were like the props, and you see, even though the layouts were made for the same project, they made in different styles, which is not a good thing. So this layout shows that the poor cherry boy lived in very sad conditions. Again, some concept of this project. This one, even though I tried to finish it, I didn't finish it even till the oral exam, so I decided to let it be. These ones were the concepts I really liked, and I really tried to finish. This is the concept of the poor cherry boy and the Cipollino. You see, the cherry boy has little mustache under his nose, and it was made unintentionally. I just wrongfully put his arm under his nose and it looked like the mustache. Oh my god, it's so freaking strange. All these sketches were from Russian Animation Festival I attended, so I attended the lectures and I drew the lecturers, and I used the Notes app from my iPad to draw all this stuff, and it really looks like if I drew with a ballpoint pen. At this festival I also attended the class of Edward Khrushchevsky. Later he became my mentor in animation, but at this time I just looked at his work, and he held the session of live drawing, and it was like a very fun thing I depicted in my color sketchbook. These ones are a very good example of what an animator should do, like fast sketches, because in animation you have to draw 12 or 24 drawings per second. Drawing fast is the key to success. So Please, when you are going to the live drawing sessions, make sure that they not only hold the long ones like 15, 8, 10 minutes, but also that they give you the opportunity to draw 1 minute, like 30 seconds, 2-minute sketches, because you need them in your portfolio and they need to be the majority. These sketches were that very reason why I was afraid of putting all the sketches in one just big post, because I thought that it would be very, very boring for the jury. Again, very badly photoed stuff from my Skull sketchbook, and they were again drawn in December. These are very bad photos, because at that time I sent my colored sketchbook, like it was already after January. I was so stupid that I believed that ColArts would send me my sketchbook back in March and I would be able to show it in my oral exam, because I saw all these sketchbook videos on YouTube and they were always dated like March, April, and I was like, maybe the sketchbooks come back in April or March. But no, actually these people just recorded their sketchbook videos prior to sending their sketchbooks, and they already had these videos to post when they got accepted. I got my sketchbook just now, about 2 years after I applied. The next one is just a combination of my all 1 minute or 2-minute sketches, and I just cut them out of their initial papers and put them into the order, because at the end of my application time I realized that I didn't have anything like this. I didn't have any movement studies. These ones are from the new sessions I attended. The session was very cool because this girl was also an artist and she posed for the artist, but I found it so uncomfortable that the person who held this live drawing session, he was constantly inappropriately talking with these like young girls, because I attended these sessions twice and I constantly felt very, very uncomfortable. I know that some people usually talk to their models in order not to make them bored. So these sketches were okay. Next ones are again the sketches, and you see I classified them in amount of minutes I drew them. My dad asked me why I chose such a strange angle, but I just didn't move around the class. I was very scared and I sat constantly on the same place, and this girl just turned her to me. So I was drawing what I saw. Sketches. After I graduated from my animation high school, I realized that I was pretty bad in painting. So I decided to attend special courses in like special painting classes. As I previously told you, I do not recommend you filling your whole portfolio with academic drawings and paintings, but I personally think that academic painting or impressionistic painting is my hobby. What's more, I think that if you know how to paint in real life, you will be good in digital painting. So yeah, that was the point of my personal studies. The first painting you see here was the painting of a stational guard. I was very lucky that the first painting I attended was very Russian Soviet themed, so it also played towards my idea of making my portfolio very Russian. Even though I don't really like this particular painting because I painted the skin in a very boring way, because you know, when you paint person's skin with browns, it is not interesting. Why not using any greens or blues? Why not? Why brown? Why red? It's boring. Even though you see that the character is alone in the frame, it still seems that he is in a good company. 1 minute and 30-second sketches are very good ones, and this time I attended some dancing festival or dancing evening, so there was an Arab person dancing his ethnical dances in a giant skirt, which I liked a lot. Then there are a couple of pieces from my ColArts sketchbook, which I'm going to talk about more in my ColArts sketchbook video. But these were the guys who sang on this festival. Then there are sketches of the singers also in movement. They were very, very fast, and I tried to draw them as fast as possible. So you see. And then finally the girls. It was the second black person I have in my whole portfolio. So sad. I wanted to have more different people, but unfortunately, yeah. These girls danced Brazilian dances, and they were very, very hella cool. Then we are going to another piece I started to make in my school and I finished afterwards. This is a set of illustrations I made for poetry piece, because in my class there was such a challenge. We prepared our illustrations for the illustration exhibition. It was a fun thing because it was like the first time when I actually thought about the maquette of a book. So we thought about making a real book. The whole project was dedicated to making a book of our illustrations in the end, but unfortunately, as it was like our last diploma year, we couldn't finish the project, so we still don't have any books. Yeah, and this is a story about a mad scientist turning a hen into a robot. Another attempt into 3D, also using very, very old software, 3D Max. And these were also the 3D assignments, which the jury liked a lot. I looked at my portfolio and I got freaking scared and surprised that these freaking animations are here, because it's written like March and April of 2019. I was like, what are they doing here? But another very important thing. I am a very, very slow person. So I started my application like in the end of February. The 5th of March was like the last day of sending your application, and I had only several days on uploading stuff to my portfolio. And I was very, very surprised that I found out that you are not allowed to upload more than 100 pictures in your Tumblr profile in one day, and also you're not allowed to upload more than 5 minutes of videos in one day. When I tried to upload all this stuff into March and April, I suddenly realized that Tumblr doesn't allow me to do so. So I had to upload the stuff later, when I was like unblocked. After you upload a certain amount of stuff, Tumblr just blocks your ability to upload like more videos or more pictures. Please take it into consideration, because it's always better to start applying earlier, because first of all you will be able to upload more works from your past, and secondly you will have time to upload and write all the descriptions to your portfolio pieces. Yeah, there is one trick. So if you are not able to upload any more pieces of videos, for example, create a post and upload your videos to YouTube. And then there will be like some menu which proposes you first to upload media and secondly upload embedded link. So you can just upload a link, and if you paste the link from your YouTube video, it will be shown like a normal YouTube video in your post. But there is one problem, there is lots of advertising afterwards and it looks very ugly. In case it happens and you have to upload first on YouTube and then upload a link, you can later, when the Tumblr allows you to upload more media files like in a day or two, you can just replace the file in your post and make it a normal video. So yeah, this is a trick. Actually, you can replace files inside your posts. It's a good one, because sometimes you haven't finished something, but you would like your project to look like a whole project. You don't want to separate it. So you can just put, for example, something. Just put something in your post, write a description, and then after you finish this piece, you can just put it instead of make. So I called it like holding a post. And please do not forget to replace stuff, because it will be very, very dumb if you forget to change your post. If the jury see, they will be very confused. It's a good idea, but at the same time it's a little bit dangerous. Edward, he was my teacher at the time, so he was like looking at some other students and I was pretty bored, so I drew him. Then I attended another live drawing session with the same uncomfortable teacher. But yeah, that time I tried some aquarels or watercolors. I'm so sorry, I'm always forgetting it. So yeah, watercolors. If you are painting watercolors, be ready that your sketches would be wet. Then again sketches, and I liked this session a lot. The girl was very fun, and she was also an artist. Even though I told you that you should applaud, like you should be more thoughtful when choosing the works for the second part of your portfolio, like the more showing the recent ones, I still found it very important to applaud like fast sketches, because these ones are still... While I'm looking at my portfolio, I'm remembering stuff I wanted to tell you. So in portfolio criteria they told us that they wanted to see either scanned or photographed works. So I personally didn't have any scanner, so I photographed all my pieces. I pinned them to the board, so maybe if you have a scanner it would be much faster. And the sketches of my brother playing computer games. Oh, I liked it so much. These ones are again without any legs, but I find his facial expressions and like him being very concentrated. This one is my most favorite thing I've made with the colored pencils so far. Next ones are again photos of my father. I guess till the end of this video you will know how my family members look like. These sketches were from elderly people's party I attended with my grandparents. It was all prior to the pandemic, so we were able to go out still. This one was the portrait from my colored sketchbook. This was another piece I made with my colored pencils. I just liked the colors outdoors. We had a very beautiful winter. I drew some cows. Yeah, in my portfolio you can see that there are very few animals. So I drew some cows, and I don't have... I like these sketches. These cows look like cows. Like a movement study from my color sketchbook. Some mafia guys from my color sketchbook. I drew my mom in more realistic style, so I decided to upload this one. Russian houses from my colored sketchbook. And there you have to not only draw people, you also have to draw animals, because one of the assignments from the first year is going to be dedicated to animals. Even if you don't have any animals at home, now after the pandemic is over, you can go to the cat cafe, or you can just visit your friend who has a dog or a cat and make them pose you. This painting is a night painting I did under the street light. It was very difficult, but I still like the result. You can see that the snow is very brown and red. Again, a sketch of my brother, the sketch of my dad, and lots of French books. Because for some reason in our library we have lots of books in French, even though nobody really speaks French still. Next one is again a piece of my color sketchbook. I'm not going to tell you too much about it. I would like to make a separate video about my color sketchbook. Again, my color sketchbook piece. Oh my god, one more color sketchbook piece. This one is the second painting I made on my painting courses. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend about half of the sessions we had, so the only piece of this painting I like is the foot. Theme of this portrait was a belly dancer. Again, a very Soviet and Russian theme. We had guests from Thailand. You know, when there are some people, especially if they are from a different country, I cannot miss such a chance and not draw them. So I do not even believe that the jury were able to look through all my pieces. Because, you know, in the year I applied, they had about 800 applicants. I attended this time. It was this live drawing session held by my painting classes. So, and we drew a very beautiful big woman. And I used pastels, like soft pastels, for the first time. And I had lots of fun with them. You see, I tried a bunch of stuff. Just remember using lots of different media. So each time, each live drawing session, I gave myself an assignment. You could see that in one session I used just steel pencils, in another one I used brush pen, then watercolors, pastels. So each time I tried to use something different because I wanted diversity in my portfolio, and at this time when I attended these courses and these live sessions, I already knew that I was going to apply. So I tried to work towards my portfolio. Every single drawing I made, I just kept in mind that I was going to put it into my portfolio, and I tried to do it as well as possible. Most of the time you have about 2 or 3 out of 10 sketches which happen to be very good and very successful. Don't be discouraged if not all of your live drawing pieces are perfect. Choose the ones you like the most and put it into your portfolio. I eliminated only the pieces I just hated. So all these pieces are either okay or mediocre, because I wanted to still have quantity. It's such a temptation to post every single piece you have into your portfolio, because like 50 points, oh my god. But at the same time, 25 points for quality. You need to think and find the balance between quality and quantity. Quality is on the first place and quantity is on the second. Then again, sketches of my family, sketches of artists drawing the live drawing model. Oh, this was that very guy that told very unpleasant things to the models. This was the girl from another live drawing session. I not only realized that I was bad in painting after my animation high school, I also realized that I was very freaking bad in animation. My teacher surely didn't know what she was talking about. She just gave us some cycles or drawings from Soviet books or Disney books, and she told us to copy them. So we didn't even know what spacing and timing meant, because she also didn't know that. Then I decided to attend animation courses held by Edward. First of all, I got to know what timing and spacing meant. The quality of your work still depends on your desire. So I spent like a lot of time on every single animation. For the first work assignment, I decided to choose my very favorite animation character, like Grimmel the Grizzly. The tricky part was that he was from the 3D movie and I was trying to draw his 2D walk cycle, and I didn't really have any references of him walking in the movie. Grimmel still stays one of my favorite characters. He was designed by Carter Goodrich. As I took Grimmel's character for the walk, I decided to also take him for action shot. The action shot was very freaking bad because I did it in like a week. Edward didn't really understand how difficult it was for me to go for French courses, painting courses, going to his courses, and also applying to 2 institutes at the same time. The next shot was about a heavy lift, so I decided to make a funny animation and draw like a space spy choosing a very little but powerful gun, and it turned to be very heavy. I drew it also in about a week because I had some consultations with my teacher from CalArts, so hopefully someday you will see the finished version with all the corrections my most favorite animation teacher gave me. Some researches for a Goose and Girl project I made in my CalArts sketchbook. Some researches of Suzdal city, because the setting of the project happened to be in Suzdal. This is another sketching session I attended, and this one was dedicated to the English costume of the 15th century. A very cool session because we had a real reconstructor person. You see, sometimes I used watercolor and I then drew some significant facial parts, so like maybe fingers on the hands with a ballpoint pen. Sketches are like a muscle. If you stop training, you lose the skill. In order for your live drawings look pretty every week, you should just draw them very often. If you are like attending live drawing sessions once in a month, you will see that it doesn't really work, that not all your sketches look as perfect as you would like them to be. So please draw sketches as often as possible, because it's the best way of finding your style, the best way of growing your skills as an artist. Consider this activity like maybe like once or twice per week. It will be fine in order for your muscle to work. And this one was the very last painting I did at my painting courses, and it was again very Soviet person selling the ice cream in the Soviet Union. We also ate the ice cream and put there some cotton. I was able to make my portfolio as Russian as I wanted, as Soviet as I wanted. Then again some sketches with a very distorted perspective. A sketch of my brother being sad as always. The next animation is again the animation from my animation courses, and the assignment was to make a head turn, and I was like, why not make it as complicated as possible and again use a 3D character for a 2D assignment. My ex-classmates asked me if I would like to participate in making a short film for the animation festival. So I realized that I still didn't have current team project, so I was very happy to agree. Pretty much we're the same team which we had in Germany, so we were only 3 people. As you could see in my portfolio, there were very few character designs or character concepts. I made some variations and clothes for the goose character. The main purpose of this opening short was to show 2 main characters of the festival, which are the girl and the goose together. The theme of that year was endless movement, and we decided to do a snowboarding race. So one of my friends did a great animatic. This project also had the theme of Soviet Union, and it was actually my idea of proposing guys to first use the theme of Soviet Union, because Soviet kids had lots of fun clothes. We decided to put this whole animation into the Suzdal city itself. And thanks to this project I had something to talk about at my oral exam, which I will tell you about in my last video. It was like a very fun thing, because I made a turnaround for the project, and another girl from our team also told me that she would like to make a turnaround just for herself to have some practice, and she sent me her animation file, and I saw that she used her alternative turnaround for making her animation. So as a result, her character looked very different from what I had. In the animation, you should be oriented to character model sheet and always keep the character on model. If another person drew a character turnaround, I would follow the guidelines, because it's very important. When 3 different artists work on the same project, it's very crucial that the character looks the same in every single piece. I'm very grateful for my teammates. It gave me such an opportunity to have another project in my portfolio and have another teamwork in my portfolio. This is actually my animation for this film. It's only 3 seconds, but I did it about a week. In my very modest opinion, the bachelor degree is still the most interesting part of the whole Gobelin filmmaking program, because this program actually teaches you the basics. In the first course, you are just like a baby. You are taught how to make perspective, and in the last course you are already making a full film for an international festival. I asked the applicant support if I should post my animation or not, because I was very afraid that I would be eliminated for just knowing how to, like, not to how to animate, but some basics of animation, because I still believe that I don't know how to animate, even though I've already studied animation for 6 years. The person from applicant support told me to upload everything. Luckily, I didn't have polished animations, I had only sketches, because I didn't have time to finish all my stuff. Of course, I saw some portfolios which had very polished stuff, and guys still got accepted. It's like on case-by-case basis. I'm showing you the level I had when I applied. That's all I can tell you. I asked some advices from Edward Kurchevsky at this time. He was my animation mentor, and he told me to remove like everything. He was like, oh, this sketch is bad, just delete it. When he applied, the modalities were very different. They had to show like 40 pages of cool collages with only the best of your work. And right now you can just show whatever, just to show your progress and the quantity of your work. I asked him for the advice, but I still did what I thought was right. And I won, I got accepted. So just listen to yourself, don't listen to anyone else. I realized that they had very few drawings in perspective, so I decided to draw some perspective pieces from my parents' apartment. You actually need lots of perspective, as your whole first course will be about perspective. I decided to bring some humor and joy into my application and to make maybe jury laugh and at least smiles. I decided to write a fun poster for this guy telling that vote for Sophia, like, yeah, Sophia, it's me, vote for me. But it was so late that I made a mistake and I wrote to vote for Sophia, so it sounds like Hulk to vote. It's just After Effects stuff, no animation, but still I decided to put it here because I tried 3D layers. So this was a background I painted for a week or so. I was very ambitious and I believed that I would be able to do all the backgrounds of such quality for the project. Then again more perspective pieces, and I just again drew the very messy apartment. Your perspective might be even less complicated and less full of details, but just try different angles, different perspective points, because it's very important and it will allow the institute to see that you know what perspective is. I did 1 point perspective, 2 points perspective, and that's all. And actually you can do the perspective with 3 points, with 8 points, with 4 points. And I really recommend you having artistic stuff as well as technical stuff, because it's like goes hand by hand. Favorite piece of character design of snow leopards. So, and this one is also from the animation courses, and I finished some part of the lip sync assignment. I did using the sound from Christmas Chronicles and using the character design of Klaus. Almost 2 years have passed and I clearly see lots of mistakes here. This is how my portfolio looks like. My last post and your last post, if you are admissible, is going to be your 5 favorite images. And yeah, I'm going to talk about them in my last and third video. I saw some portfolios where people did collages, so there is no right way of organizing your portfolio. So one way is doing like me, uploading everything separately, because it was the way applicant support told me to do, and this was some kind of Gobelin instructions. In my year we had like the whole range of different portfolios, from separate pieces to collages and so on. Another clever way of organizing your portfolio is just maybe doing like I did, uploading everything separately with different descriptions. And then if you are afraid that the jury might miss your best pieces, you can make collages out of them, so like you already uploaded them like as a separate sketch, and then you make the collages like consisting of 20 or 30 pages, as like people from previous years of application did. You can have your book in the top of your portfolio, so maybe it will make the navigation easier when you are going to have the oral exam. And please, if you still have any questions about portfolio, don't hesitate to write them down below in the comment sections. If you like this video and if you by any chance found this useful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to see more videos from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you later. Goodbye!